What's up, Solar Warriors? Today is Tuesday, October 3rd, 2023. My name is Jarrett McAllister, the virtual solar pro, and this is Power Hitters Weekly Training. If you are watching this on YouTube, make sure to share with all your solarpreneurs, like the video, and subscribe to the channel. It helps your boy out. Today, I'm rocking alongside my man, Tom Cotter. What's up, Tommy? How are you doing, brother?
I'm a proud subscriber of Jarrett McAllister's YouTube channel. I'm doing very well, thank you.
Sweet, man. I appreciate that, dude. Yeah, it is October 3rd. I cannot believe we are cruising through this year. And dude, I'm just gonna be honest. This last week was a little rough. I'm just gonna share with you guys. This was a tough week for a lot of us in the industry. For me personally, I lost 3 people on Facebook last week. Not 1, not 2, but 3 people that I've known personally, flesh to flesh, have lost their lives. Shout out to Beth Burns, rest in peace. One of my good brothers who I've known since I was 13 years old, Brad Davis, rest in peace. And here at Powur, we lost a brother, Mr. Rick Bailiff. Rick was an absolute stud of a human being. I've only known him through this virtual world of being in the community. He's part of Powur. We were friends on Facebook. The guy was an absolute stud. I know a lot of you guys actually met him in Powur World last year in Texas. And he tragically lost his life, left behind a wife and 6 daughters. So with a heavy heart, I just like to say, as a community, for us all to show some love for the family, to connect as brothers and sisters, show support. I'm actually going to share my screen right here. Give me 1 second. This is the man, we lost a brother. And I'm going to take a little bit from the Powur perspective, but I'm just going to say, you guys, life is an absolute gift. It's a blessing every breath that we take, and to not take it for granted, to truly show love to friends, family, strangers, everyone, and not to hold judgments or grudges, because you just never know. You truly never know when your time comes. There is a Venmo / Cash App for the family. If you choose to want to help contribute, to his wife and these 6 children, it's not going to be easy. But yeah, man, it was a tragic week. It was rough. It was very rough. So
I put that in the chat for those of you that like to see it. It's a note from Rick's wife, and about services also, which are in a couple days. So Thursday, October 5th, 6th through 8th. And those are going to be in Texas for those of you that lived close to Rick there. You can see all the details, including, she said, in lieu of flowers, please consider a donation to the memorial account to help with ongoing expenses. And like Jarrett said, there's a Cash App link and a Venmo link there, and that's direct from Rick's wife.
Yeah, I kind of like the fact that it's direct and you're kind of cutting out that third party and stuff like that. And, like I said, my relationship with Rick, to be quite frank, was just talking shit about Niners and Cowboys. The dude was a hardcore Cowboys fan, as you can see in the picture. In fact, in the memorial service, you show up, they asked, rock some Cowboys gear. If I was in Texas, I would do it for the love of the man. We went back and forth, had a lot of healthy fun and discussions with jabs. And it's crazy. This Sunday, the Niners and the Cowboys will be playing each other on Sunday Night Football. So I will be thinking of this man during that game. With that said, thank you, Tom, for sharing that in the chat. If you guys have any memories of Rick or any interactions with him, feel free to drop them in the chat. He was loved in this community. So moving on, which is tough to do, but we must do it because life does go on. We are going to go ahead and do some success stories, right? Switch over the vibe. So like we do every single week, we're going to talk about success stories. Did you sell a deal? Do you have a new team member? Did you overcome some adversity? Just a personal win in your life. Feel free to raise your hand. You can come off mute. If you have a success story, we can drop it in the chat. I will. You know what? I'm going to start off because I got to turn this around for myself personally. I got to share some success and some great things that have happened. Because yeah, life is life, right? You have your ups, you have your downs. First of all, shout out to Gary, Charles, and Miguel, all joining my team over the past week. All these guys reached out to me via what? Social media. They saw the post, they see the success, they see the culture of Powur, they see the opportunity, and you know, every single one of them said, "Put me in, coach, I'm ready." So Gary, Charles, Miguel, stoked to have you guys part of the team. Closed a deal yesterday. That was pretty cool. It was a purchase option out in Massachusetts. My boy Anthony, who's new to the platform, didn't know me, found me on Power, which was kind of cool. Saw the closing ratio, selected me, met with his client, gave him two options, gave him the lease option, obviously was the lower monthly, but also gave him a purchase option with the, and he liked ownership. He liked adding the equity to his home. We went with the Sun Gauge, 25-year, 9.74, no dealer fee. And yeah, he locked that in yesterday. So that was awesome. And then one final win that I am going to share, which is cool, is that I don't know if you guys can see this shirt, but I sponsored both my little girls' soccer teams. They are officially the Jarrett McAllister Virtual Solar Pro Power Team. And Sierra McAllister, 4 goals on Saturday. And my girl, Cameron, I actually coached her team. We won 2-1 and she blocked 4 goals. So the best part of that is at the end, you know, when they all get together, they go to do the huddle and they chant the other team's name, is getting them to go. They're like trying to figure out what to say and all chant. We're now officially the Solar Huskies. It's too long. So anyways, thought that was kind of funny. Wanted to share that with you guys. So anybody else have a success story that they'd like to share?
I'll
Raise
jump
your
in
hand.
and share one here, Jarrett.
Yes.
I gotta send documents out here in a few minutes, so maybe I can multitask here. But just sold a deal in Fresno, California. So it is PG&E. It was a battery system with solar. It was about 7.7 kilowatts, and $39,000 was the price. And I was going to go with EECU, which is a credit union in Fresno that some of you have heard me talk or post about before. 6.5% interest rate, no dealer fee. So their payment was going to be a little bit higher than the PG&E payment. They were paying about $250, $260 a month on average to PG&E. Their loan payment was going to be $346 plus $47 remaining PG&E bill. I'm talking fast here because I want to get through this. Then after they applied the tax credit, it was going to drop down to $242 plus $47 for their remaining PG&E bill. So they're paying more for electricity for about 2 years, you know, up until tax credit came in and PG&E raised their rates 1 or 2 times. And they were super happy with that. They said, it's basically break even in a couple of years. This is like a no-brainer. Let's do it. And then they said, we don't even want the loan payment. We'll just pay cash for it. So that was a deal that I got to send out, and I'll post one in the chat as well. $9,000 commission and a $1,000 ambassador payment went out. So a deal over in Pismo Beach, another PG&E deal.
Winning. Love that. Great job, Tom.
Thanks, man.
Awesome. Awesome. Anybody else have any other success stories that they would like to share? If not, we will jump into Tom's Powur perspective.
We got more and more people coming in here. So keep an eye on that for me while I'm talking here, Jarrett.
I got it.
Good morning, Solar Warriors. I want to share with you the top 10 signs you might be a solar bro. Now, when I say solar bro, you can post in the comments what you think that means. But it's not a term of affection. It's kind of making fun of people. But what do you think of when you hear the term solar bro? Put that in the chat, and I want to give you the top 10 signs that you may be one, no matter whether you're male or female. Oh, and number one, you dress like a Grand Theft Auto pimp to impress people. Number nine, your social media profile picture is you flipping off the camera. I didn't number these out here. Next one is phone. Your phone ringing causes you anxiety. You got to like have one of those gummies sitting next to your phone because every time it rings, you think it's going to be somebody calling to complain because you misled them. Next is your script makes people think that you work for a utility or the government when you knock on their door or call them on the phone.
Oh,
Next is you troll posts of competitors in solar groups. Next is you sell without a required license or you knock without a required permit. And how about this next one? You yell at and talk down to project managers. Or you're always bragging about or shopping for the lowest red line in the industry. Number nine is you poach leads from other people's pages and profiles, or you actually go out and you poach sold deals. And number one sign you might be a solar bro is you sell 100% offset in California without a battery.
without a battery.
Without a
Oh,
battery. So I want to say this: how you earn income in solar matters more than how much you make. Ladies and gentlemen, we're about to ride the biggest clean energy wave in history over the next decade, thanks in part to new legislation. We will witness the largest transfer of wealth ever as we transition from a fossil fuel powered world to water, wind, and of course, our favorite, solar. I've been at this for nearly 2 decades, and now that I've found power and see where we're headed, I think I got a few more decades left in me. So my intent is to empower our community of men, women, and businesses to help 100,000 homeowners go solar, which will save clients billions in energy costs, avoid hundreds of premature deaths from air pollution, and create somewhere around 300 multimillionaires. And I'll say it again, how you earn income in solar matters more than how much you make. As we keep the soul in solar and as we provide value and help others first before helping ourselves, that's what makes our company and our industry even better. Thanks, everybody. Back to you, Jarrett.
thanks, Tom, for sharing that. So you're saying I shouldn't change my name to the virtual solar bro? Just stick it this way. Okay.
Why don't you call yourself that and live a different identity?
Oh, man. That is funny. All right. Well, with that being said, we are going to move on to our next guest. Actually, our host. Is he on, Tom? Do we have Jason on here? Jason.
Jason is here. Let's make him a
Hey,
co-host.
y'all.
There he is. What's up,
Good
buddy?
morning,
How you
good
doing?
afternoon. I'm doing well. How are you all doing?
Oh, living the dream, man.
Well, that's amazing.
All right.
It's great
I'm
to
going to
hear
go
some of the
ahead and
success.
make you
Yep.
a co-host. And then I'm also going to put the spotlight on you. There you go.
Awesome.
So the
Perfect.
floor is
All right.
yours. Feel free to share your screen. So we have Jason from SolarEdge here. For those of you who missed it, SolarEdge was a key sponsor of Power World 2023. They launched their brand new EV charger. They dropped a contest for us. And Jason here is going to speak about all this and their amazing technology. Jason, what do you have for us today?
Well, we have some exciting news here to share. And so I'm going to share my screen here real quickly. I want to get this up here, just confirm you all are seeing this here.
Yep,
Yes.
looks good.
Win
Awesome.
a trip to Israel. Why the heck is there a trip to Israel, Jason, out of all places in the world? What's up
The
with
whole-
Israel?
That's a great question. So for those who aren't aware, SolarEdge is a company. Our global headquarters are in Tel Aviv. So we were founded by a group of former Israeli special ops. So we have a lot of innovation built into the company as sort of the DNA. They were building equipment that was essentially, going into really harsh environments such as like, the desert, the Israeli desert, space for satellites and all that. And So they recognize that some of that equipment could be applied really well to solar. And so here we are. And so what we would like to do with you all is offer, this partnership between SolarEdge and Powur is really important to us. And so, we are offering an incentive trip to Israel for the most batteries sold through the end of the year. And effectively, the way this is going to work is that all you need to do is sell SolarEdge batteries. We also ask that you complete 3 virtual training sessions. And so we actually wrapped up our 3rd session this morning. We do have another one this afternoon. So for those of you who have missed these, we're happy to share the training so you can watch them and qualify officially. And effectively, you're going to earn points for the most batteries sold. So if you sell a project solo, you'll get 2 points per battery. So if you sold, for instance, 3 batteries on the system, hopefully 6, you would get 6 points in that example. If you sold then those same 3 batteries on a project that was mentored, so a tier 1 and a tier 3, for example, then you each would get 1 point per battery, so 3 points each. So this contest will run through December 31st. And, really what we're trying to do here is we want to kind of take you out there and we want to show you a little bit of our culture. We want to show you some innovation. We wanted to share the culture, the Israeli culture. If you have anyone who has been there can attest to this, it's some of the best food I've ever had in the whole entire world. So we'll set it up. We'll send you to HQ. You have a chance to meet our executive team. We'll take you out on a cultural day, so you get a chance to experience some of the history and some of the culture in Israel. And we'll also take you to a factory. So you'll get to see how a product is made, the automation that has evolved in it. You get to see how, for instance, an optimizer goes from literally a bunch of spare parts to packaged up and put in a box and shipped without any single human hand touching it. And all of these kind of efforts have led to not only great product also, but, a high reliability there too. So it's our effort to really, deepen the relationship with you all as Powur reps. So any questions in the contest before I kind of move into a little bit of training here?
No.
Sounds good. All right. So let's cover a little macro high level things here first. Why do people want to go with the solar battery? I think, in the past, a lot of people had sold against batteries. We looked at the grid as a source of battery, right? And then, we're seeing some trends that are really accelerating, making batteries more important every day. And some of those are, external, right? A lot of these are external, actually. If you look at, how many of you have been impacted by weather this year? Outages, extended outages. We had a coworker's brother who was without power for 6 days in Northern California and Santa Cruz with all the storms that hit earlier this year. For 6 straight days, they were powered, lights, everything that they needed, full home backup for 6 straight days. And so that hasn't happened even in Santa Cruz in a while. It's happening in other areas now. New York City was flooded just this past week, right? So these severe weather apps are really having an impact on homeowners today. And so extended outages are becoming more and more prevalent there. There's also some major shifts in time of use and dynamic rate plans. So time of use plans, right? We've had them here in California for quite some time. We're now seeing it accelerate in other areas. And these dynamic rate plans are really what's kind of the next step. We've seen it overseas in Germany and areas like that. We're now seeing it in California with an M3 where, at certain times of the day, the month, the year, or I'm sorry, the hour of the day, the utility may actually pay you up to $3 a kilowatt hour to take your battery power. Other times of the day, they're not going to give you anything. They might give you 2 or 3 cents per kilowatt hour. So these dynamic rate plans are becoming more and more prevalent. And let's look at it from a macro view. How many of y'all were aware how many markets across the US have now gone time of use? Take a look at that screen there. And in the orange there, that's all the states that now have a time of use rate plan. And I think this is really important to consider because what we've seen here in California with time of use rate plans is that the utilities just continue to increase their peak rates. So if you have a homeowner in M2, for example, in California here, who is selling power back to the grid at 30 cents a kilowatt hour, you can tell me what they're paying right now to buy that power back, let's say in San Diego Gas and Electric in the peak rates. Anybody aware? 83 cents. So does it make sense for a homeowner to be selling power to the utility at 30 cents and buying it back for 83 cents?
No.
Absolutely not, right? How do we avoid that? We put a battery on the wall. I was in Colorado with the Colorado team out there in early part of June doing a training, and Colorado had just gone time of use. And so as these, rates continue to change and evolve, I mean, I think San Diego Gas and Electric was like 45, 50 cents just 4 or 5 years ago. As them has doubled over time. And so the impact to the homeowner who is just going solar only, what does that mean now? It means that they're also all of a sudden seeing truer bills show up again. And so getting comfortable selling batteries and understanding these macro trends and pitching the value to homeowners on why ordering a battery right now with their solar system is important. The other piece of it, the larger impact, is decreasing value for solar exports. California, Arizona, Texas, Hawaii, Florida, North Carolina, these trends are happening more and more and are spreading fast. And so understanding this and certainly pitching the value to your homeowner is highly important. So let's talk about SolarEdge Home. SolarEdge Home is our ecosystem approach here to selling smart energy. You all may have been familiar with some of this before, right? We sold, an inverter that would convert DC to AC. Well, now we're getting, or have been getting very deep into the game of smart energy. That includes batteries. That includes a smart EV charger. As Jared shared, we launched our smart EV charger on the Powur Platform just this last month at Powur, and we're really excited to do that. We also have some smart energy management devices coming out here this quarter and in the next quarter. And what that's going to allow the homeowners to do is not only control their heavy loads, such as like a pool pump, their AC more directly. They can see how much power that's consuming. But if they even want more granular control over, let's say, a TV, we'll have a smart socket that'll come out as well, so they can start to turn things on and off remotely. So this is the real value. I'll cover this more in the ecosystem approach for homeowners outside of just doing solar. So we cover batteries here. High level, we can offer essentially 3 different products. We can offer what we call the rate saver, what you all call the power saver, and that is just a grid-tied self-consumption system. So it's basically PV plus batteries, no backup system. So the grid goes down, obviously the homeowner would then lose power. However, it allows them to avoid not only, in California with NEM 3, where there's no value in exporting energy, but it allows them to avoid these high peak rates, not only now, but especially long term. Considering what happened in California with these peak rates, I think last year I was paying 48 cents a kilowatt hour here in Los Angeles. I'm now 58 cents a kilowatt hour, 10 cents on top of, in the period of time when you can consume the most energy. On top of that, then we offer a backup system, and that can be either 2 forms, which is either essential load backup. So we're talking about lights, Wi-Fi, refrigerator, et cetera, the smaller loads. But for those homeowners who are interested at the ultimate level of protection, we also have full home backup. Full home backup is going to get a lot easier to offer now to homeowners when we come out with the load controllers, because now we can do full home backup on every single main panel. We'll put a load controller on the heavy devices such as air conditioners, pool pumps, and then through software, we can default to set those devices off. So if the system would go into backup mode, these heavy loads can be defaulted off. If the homeowner wants the option of, obviously, it's September, it's 95 degrees, they want to cool down the house a little bit, they can then turn that air conditioner back on. The app will tell them how much time they're estimated to have a backup mode from there as well, because it can sense the consumption there. So this is a higher level of control that we're going to be able to offer homeowners. And it's really going to start with the central point of the My SolarEdge app there. All right, so let's talk a little bit about the inverter and some background on choosing the size of the inverter per system size and all that. So first we'll cover the inverter here. I think my screen is locking up. Oh, there we go. Is that coming through in your all in there?
Yep.
There we go. Yep.
Okay, perfect. Great. So with our system, we have a lot of flexibility. We are a DC optimized solution. So what that means is that, if you really think about the solar world, right, we're in a DC world. A module produces DC power. A battery is a DC device. You store energy in DC. An electric car actually runs on DC power. That battery inside that car is a DC device as well. And the advantages that come with being DC optimized like this are quite simply that you can put larger solar systems on the roof without any heavy electrical work. You also have the capability of putting more battery power behind the single inverter as well. And so the way this works is that basically on the 3.8 kilowatt inverter, which is the inverter you would choose for 100 amp service panel, you can put up to 7.6 kilowatts on the roof. When you look at our competitor on that same size, you're limited to, let's say, an IQ8M to 4.4 kW on that same breaker. So a substantially higher amount of PV on the roof, which means obviously less breaker space. The cool thing about these inverters too is that we kind of AC derate. So we reduce the amount of power on the AC side to allow for more backup power. So if that 3.8 kilowatt inverter on that 100 amp service went into backup mode, we can actually surge the AC, not surge, it's more continuous, but the battery power actually increases 7.6 kilowatts of backup power. So a smaller inverter can do a substantially higher amount of power in backup mode. If you look at obviously similar line of thought here, on a 7.6 kilowatt inverter, that's what you would be putting on your 200 amp service. We can put up to 15 kilowatts of solar on the roof. For all these different battery examples, we can do 3 batteries behind the inverter, so 30 kilowatt hours of energy. What's really cool about this is that, you know, it keeps that power in DC, which means the homeowner gets more energy out of the system while also getting a larger system size more cost effectively. It's a little technical. Any questions from anybody on this? Any clarifications I can make there?
With Powur, are we still using those max PV system sizes on the slide here, or should we use something like 140%?
Yeah, so these are some things that we're working on with Powur right now. We're actually working on API integration, potentially with our designer tool to allow for to unlock this here. The advantages I think can be achieved in the back end, working with your design team to make sure that if you want to try to take advantage of this, avoid main panel upgrades, for instance, because what we can do with these DC batteries, we can, you know, charge the battery with any clipped energy. So let's say it's a 6 kilowatt system on a 3.8 kilowatt inverter. Typically that would probably clip a lot of energy, right? Well, what we're going to do is we're going to see that power coming down in DC from the roof. Let's say it's 5 kilowatts. The home may need, let's say, 2 kilowatts. So we'll convert 2 of those 5 kilowatts to AC and power the house. And simultaneously then the remaining 3 kilowatts will go and charge the battery. So that's how we're able to avoid and to go higher on the DC size without clipping energy as well. So there's some things coming here to hopefully unlock this on the platform, but you should be able to successfully reach out to the design team. You may need to choose a higher powered inverter in the front end, but then obviously as part of like the design notes, you know, say I want to go with this inverter.
Yeah, good to know. Good to know.
Yep.
And what Jason's talking about is the project handoff notes. So anytime you sell a project, you should be putting project handoff notes that are important for the project manager, the build partner. So this would be a great thing to mention. Let's say you wanted a 6 kilowatt inverter in your design and the tool was, you know, defaulting to a 7.6. Jason just said, sell it with the 7.6 and put in the project handoff notes that you want a 6 kilowatt, right?
Yep. And the purpose for that is to, you know, make sure that you don't put a larger inverter on a breaker that triggers a main panel upgrade. You know, we're going to be going live with, you know, not to get too complicated here, but additionally with PCS, which is going to allow the elimination of main panel upgrades anyway. So now you can start, if you wanted to, choosing a larger inverter on a smaller panel to allow for more power as well. So there's new things that'll be coming down that road. But right now we don't want to sell things obviously that are not available. But hopefully in the next few months or so, we'll be able to discuss that further too. So,
maybe you guys didn't hear that. What did you say, Jason? Did you say no main panel upgrades? I didn't see any hallelujahs in the chat there. So
you guys all love main panel upgrades?
Everybody loves main panel upgrades.
My favorite.
It's an upgrade, right? They're fun.
Who doesn't like extending their project another 90 days?
Oh man, 90 days. That sounds pretty positive. I'm here 9 months sometimes, incling a project.
I'm trying to keep it positive, Jason.
But so this is available to you right now, though. You know, and I'll show some anecdotes here later on about the opportunity here. But it's real, you know, and as we put batteries on with inverters, you know, effectively you're increasing the backfeed, right? So every AC coupled battery has an inverter in it So if you think about it for microinverters, you might have 11 inverters on a 20 amp breaker for PV. On that same battery, I think has 12 inverters in it on top of that too. So the impact is just going to be more backfeed. Now PCS will change that for everybody, and that's exciting for us as the industry, fortunately, though. But right now, until that's live, we want to make sure that we quote the right projects there. All right. So any questions on the inverter sizing, how many batteries, et cetera? Cool. All right. So a little background here, when you're doing batteries with SolarEdge, you want to make sure you select the Energy Hub Inverter. So, you'll see here on the screen here in Vision, for instance, how it's a 767. What that means on the left-hand side here is that Energy Hub Inverter will do 7.6 kilowatts on grid and then 7 kilowatts off grid. And so basically that's a signal to you as a rep that if you want to sell more, like if you're selling a backup power system, for instance, you want to look for the larger number on the right, because that's going to tell you how much power this system can do per inverter in off-grid mode. And these numbers actually need to be bumped up a little bit, because if you can see here on the screen, on my screen here, it's actually higher now if it's going to load.
Yeah. So, I mean, to that, what that was saying is if you had a 10 kilowatt in the screen that you just showed, right,
Yep.
in Vision, was that referencing that you could only go 10 kilowatt battery on a 10 kilowatt
Great question.
inverter?
Yeah.
Is that what that's
Yeah.
saying?
Yeah. So to keep it really simple, the number on the left side here is on-grid power.
That's your inverter size.
Correct. Yeah. So this is what the homeowner is going to get when the grid is up, basically, right? And we do that because obviously, there's what's called the 120% rule. And so you can only put a certain amount of solar amperage before you start obviously running up against that. And so really when you look at what's like if you look at the example in Vision, there's a 7610. What that means is that on grid, it's going to produce 7.6 kilowatts of power. Off grid, it'll actually produce 11.4 kilowatts. So that inverter is actually an 11.4 kilowatt inverter, but we derate it with software down to 7.6 to fit on the right size breaker for what you need for that project on grid. So it's a little complex. So the way I like to think about it is basically the left-hand side of this dash is basically the on-grid power. So if you were, for example, putting this Energy Hub on a 200 amp panel, you're going to choose the 7.6 kilowatts because that's 7.6 kilowatts on grid. And then you have a choice on if I'm doing backup, do I want to put a larger backup inverter on there? So it's the same product. It just means that when the grid goes down, we can use additional power that the inverter has behind the scenes there. Hopefully I'm explaining that in a way that makes sense.
Yeah, and this, this might be high level for some, but really quick, I think you said, did you say 120% max on the inverter to the PV? I thought it was 140%, or am I incorrect?
So I was referring to the utility requirement. It's called the 120% rule where.
Oh, okay. I got you.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. So more referencing for backfeed there. What you're referring to is the oversizing, and we can do on a battery system up to 200%. Powur's Vision actually locks at 140% right now because of PV. But with batteries, we can actually do 200%. So that's what I was sharing here.
So on a 10 kilowatt, you could do 20 kilowatt hour
Correct.
battery. And on a 10 kilowatts, you could go to 14 kilowatt size system.
Yeah. So on Vision, for our side of things, that you can actually go up to 20 kilowatts, but in Vision, it's going to cap you at 14 on that for the easy math piece. So here's your 10 kilowatt inverter. It can actually do up to 20 kilowatts of solar on the roof. So let's say you did cap it up, you put 14 kilowatts on the roof, maybe 2 batteries. What that means is you ever had that homeowner who wanted to add more and Powur ever came up with the upgrade program to allow for it, you could theoretically add another 6 kilowatts of solar on the roof and additional batteries without having to change the inverter, adding anything to the wall right there. So it's a good upgrade strategy to consider as well for long term.
I guess my question is though, like, let's say you were doing a 16 kilowatt size system, could you do a 10 kilowatt but Vision's making us bump up to 11.4?
Yeah, correct. Yeah. And so if you wanted to choose the smaller inverter to make yourself a little more cost effective, then that's where you would want to make some notes in the project handoff that yes, correct. Yeah. So These are our physical caps from a spec perspective, but Powur does in the actual software itself, Vision, derate that to 140%.
Okay.
So there's more headroom for us. So again, just to reiterate, make sure you select the Hub Inverter when you're doing a battery project. And that's an example in solar on the left here and a Vision on the right there. Now let's talk about what matters. So not sure if you all heard, but we announced a price reduction on the battery as well at Powur World. And this is something that we were really excited to announce because it's going to make you all more competitive at the kitchen table. And so if you think about these numbers, this is your cost from Powur right there. A single battery, 10 kilowatt hours. I think I have a typo here. Oh no, I'm good here. A single battery, so 10 kilowatt hours for non-backup is below $7,000. It's a great price. It's probably the most competitive price you're going to find on the platform right now.
You guys, this is stupid cheap. Like I saw this pricing in Vision. I was like, dang it, Matt Gordon, another glitch in Vision. I was like, I'm going to undersell this stuff, dude. I'm going to end up paying out of pocket, charging too less. Come to find out, this is the pricing.
It's the advantage of not having all those inverters in our battery.
Oh,
less hardware inside
fired.
the battery.
Let's go.
But that's a cost, right? And so that's the advantage you're going to see here is that you know, we're able to keep our battery pricing down because of that. So and we'll cover some more here later. So here's a brief overview of the battery. You can fully discharge the battery down to 0. It's a high efficiency battery. And so we talk a lot about efficiency and what does it really mean? So I'll give you an example later on why this can work. But as we talked about inverters here, but you know, I was working with an account just yesterday, and you know, we have our own design tool available that's free of charge, designer.solaredge.com. So if you ever want to build a battery system, you're welcome to use our software to get an accurate projection here. But for this example, I had the account basically run the simulation. Like, give me an 8.2 kilowatt system. I'm going to run the exact same 8.2 kilowatt system in our design tool. And because we can not only avoid clipping energy, but also this high efficiency, on an 8.2 kilowatt system with 2 batteries, we outproduced Enphase plus Tesla by 1,000 kilowatt hours a year. The homeowner consumed 12,000 kilowatt hours. So think about what that means. That homeowner just got a free month of energy in that example. So efficiency is a real world impact on production. I could actually take a module off and it would produce more. So keep that in mind when you're selling, because obviously for a lower cost, you can provide the homeowner way more energy as well, along with less boxes on the wall there. The warranty is 10 years and 70% capacity with no cycle count or energy throughput. I think it's really important to take a look at battery warranties to make sure you understand what you're selling. Others out there have a cap on how much energy you can take out of that battery. And so your homeowner now is faced with a decision of like limiting how they use their battery. It's kind of like when you might have heard, like, I think it was Honda had a car warranty where it was 100,000 miles or 10 years, right? If you ran over the miles, you lost all advantage of those, of that long extended warranty. And so there's similar terms written in other batteries. We have no unlimited cycle, or we have unlimited cycles and unlimited energy throughput. So basically that means that at year 10, your homeowner is guaranteed to have 7 kilowatt hours of energy in that battery. If they don't, we'll replace it free of charge under warranty.
That's great. I do love the fact that you guys got rid of the cycle limits, especially now with NEM 3 and them discharging the battery essentially every single night.
Yeah, we've actually never had them. There's been no energy cap, no cycle count ever. So it's been a nice advantage on our battery. Yep.
Love it.
All right.
If any of you are wondering, you know, you may have seen the dimensions on there. So this is what that case physically looks like on camera.
Right? Oh yeah.
Here. That's what it looks like.
All right. So make sure I stay on time here. I'll cover a couple quick advantages here. So, you know, as I shared earlier, the advantages of a DC coupled architecture are really that you just have less infrastructure. On a single, let's say 20 amp breaker, we can put 7.6 kilowatts of solar on the roof, 3 batteries, and an EV charger on 120 amp breaker. If you look at our competitor now, especially with, you know, a 5 kilowatt hour battery, You're looking at basically a single breaker for PV, that's 20 amps, another breaker for the EV charger, then 2 more breakers for the battery. So for a single, let's say a 4.4 kilowatt system, you're taking up 80 amps of breaker space right there. So you might be able to avoid that main panel upgrade on backfeed, but what do you do if you don't have enough breaker spaces for that? And so it's an important thing to consider on how you can add larger systems with far less infrastructure there. And this is how we're able to also produce more energy. You know, as we talked earlier, all the AC coupled batteries have inverters built into them. And so if you think about what happens then, especially if you have an inverter underneath each panel, you can convert DC to AC at the panel. It's going to come down in AC. The battery can only take energy in DC. So you convert it from AC that was just converted from the panel level, and now you're going to convert it back to DC at the battery. Well, because the house then needs AC power, it's converted again from DC to AC. So we call this a triple energy conversion penalty, which means that all you're doing is giving up energy as a homeowner every single time you produce a PV watt there. All right, and so one of the things that we're really focusing on, you know, as part of this ecosystem approach is taking a lot of the decisions off the homeowner's back. You know, we don't want the homeowners making changes and that'll ultimately cost them money and things like that. And so we've built essentially an easy way for a homeowner to either program their batteries if they want to, or rely on us. And basically they set it, for example, as maximize self-consumption. We've built a smart battery algorithm in the back end where the homeowner will say, I'm in this utility on this rate schedule. We have all those rate schedules in our system, and the system will automatically determine based on that time of day, that hour, that month, for example, is it better to self-consume this energy or to export it? So for an example, in California, without the homeowner's input at all, the system will automatically decide if I'm in SoCal Edison in NEM3, and it's September at 6 o'clock, I'm not going to self-consume that energy. I'm going to export it because I can export it for about $3 a kilowatt hour. So that's all done automatically in the back end for the homeowner on our side of things. And if you're selling backup, I'm sorry? Okay.
Nope, go ahead.
If you're selling backup too, just a quick note here. The homeowner has the ultimate assurances that, you know, their system's going to be ready. So if you look on the screen here, if there is a severe weather outage or a severe weather event happening that's expected to potentially cause an outage, Weather Guard will activate. The homeowner is going to get notification that this is happening, and essentially the system will prioritize making sure that the battery is fully charged ahead of this outage. So all these things are happening in the background to make sure that the homeowner has the best experience there. All right, one final thing here. I see a note there from Don. The answer is yes. So if you have my SolarEdge app downloaded on your cell phone, you can open up the app and there'll be a little button at the bottom that says demo sites. And then you want to navigate to the San Jose battery demo site. And in that example, you'll see, and it's something I recommend sharing with homeowners, you'll see in real time how the system works. So that homeowner actually has an EV as well. So you might, if the time is right, you might actually see PV coming down from the wall, powering the house, also charging the battery and also powering the car at the same time. So it's a great example to show homeowners and how the system will work there. All right, so let's cover an extra layer of protection that we offer you all as a Powur exclusive. So about this time last year, actually, we were really happy to announce our enhanced services program with Powur. And this is really two things. The first of which is we are actively monitoring the Powur fleet. And so if an inverter goes down, we have a team overseas that is operating at our nighttime and basically capturing any failure that happens as it happens. That failure is then, the case is created. We work directly with Powur to confirm that they would like us to ship it. And if so, we will not only ship it, but we can also schedule the replacement with the homeowner. So we're actively monitoring the fleet. We're also actively rolling trucks for Powur in markets where we have resources. And if ever that process fails, for whatever reason, it could be on our end, it could be on the homeowner's end, it could be on the installer's end, whatever the case may be, there's an extra level of protection that is available to you all as well when you sell a SolarEdge system. And that is in form of a rebate. So every time you sell SolarEdge, you get we will be paying Powur 1 cent per watt. And then that's split up. Half of that goes to you all as reps. So you make a little extra money selling SolarEdge every time from us. And then the other half goes into a fund that is available to homeowners and to you as reps if there's ever a time when a failure process breaks down. So if the homeowner is down for an extended period of time for whatever reason, at Powur's discretion, compensation can be applied to that homeowner. And so we want to make sure that you as reps, and also your homeowners get the best experience with SolarEdge possible. And so we take that on our back. And I think that's going to be even more important when you consider, more batteries sold, right? Because if you're selling a battery in self-consumption market or an M3 market like California, and that battery goes offline for whatever reason, we know how high the peak rates can be. And so that's a costly thing. So if you're selling SolarEdge, your homeowners are now protected from any severe event like that.
You guys, and I just want to say how huge that is, and for SolarEdge to partner up and step up and offer that, because as he mentioned, if a battery goes down, let's look at reality is your battery goes down, you don't get a battery the next day, right? They need to address the situation. They need to address the situation. Sometimes they need to order the battery. They got to come out there. You could probably about a week. It could happen within a week, maybe sooner, but it could take longer. If you're purchasing PG&E or SDG&E at that peak rate during that time, the homeowner is going to feel that. And for them to be backed up with that enhanced service offered by SolarEdge, that's amazing. So that's really cool, Jason.
Yeah, we're really excited to do it. Like I shared earlier, this relationship is really important to us, and we're hopeful that this will help improve your experience with us. And we've actually seen direct examples with a homeowner that Jonathan Bernassa put in front of me, where the homeowner actually left a positive referral and a positive Yelp review over experience based on this enhanced services. And so that's really the desired outcome. It's that problems will always happen, right? This is construction, and when you sell SolarEdge with Powur, you get an extra level of insurance effectively to make sure that if a problem does happen, it doesn't lead to a negative experience or negative review.
Very cool.
Yeah. All right. So just to recap here, why SolarEdge? We're hopeful that some of this makes a lot of sense to you all and helps make you more cost effective and, sell more value. But, 5 areas I think that are really important is more energy production. The homeowner gets more value, and that advantage grows over time. So if you think about more energy production, what that could mean in 5 to 10 years, as rates increase, maybe consumption in the home increases, they have an extra layer of protection because they're making more energy with SolarEdge. That's hardware on the wall. I think we're going to start to see here in areas like California and M3 that AC coupled batteries and other solutions require a significant more amount of boxes on the wall. And because we put everything behind the inverter, we can avoid that. So the aesthetics look better for the homeowner, and it's less cost to you all as reps as well. And you get to earn more money for those reasons there too. And the ecosystem advantage is a big one. I mean, we need to start thinking, I think, in terms of, like we like to call it Franken Solar, when you pair a third-party battery with a third-party inverter, right? They're effectively 2 different systems. They're not really designed to work together at all. And when that happens, the homeowner loses there because, for instance, if you're selling, an AC coupled battery, you need to make sure that if you're selling it for backup, that you size that battery to the PV production of that system. Because if the PV production is higher than the battery can take as far as its continuous power rating, that battery will actually shut the PV off until it drops below that level. So that means that in an extended outage, if there's a single battery on the wall and the PV is producing 7 kilowatts, that homeowner is not getting the advantage and backup of extended outage protection because all that extra PV is being turned off. And so understanding these things and why selling a single ecosystem is important for the homeowner is a huge advantage right there. And then finally, the long-term protection. You sell SolarEdge, not only are we actively monitoring the fleet, but we're standing up a fund to help compensate homeowners whenever things go wrong.
Very cool, man.
All right.
Yeah, well, you guys get excited. You guys ready to sell some SolarEdge? Because if so, you might be finding yourself in Israel, the Holy Land, the motherland.
That's right.
So, you guys have a QR code right here.
Yep, there you go. Yeah. So this contest will run through the end of the year here, and it's based on sales. So start selling as much as you can today. We're not looking for projects installed or anything like that. It's based on total sales. So load those sales up. Take a picture of the screen if you want a reminder of how the program works. If you had missed our trainings, to qualify, go ahead and scan that QR code. We'll catch that and we'll send you the link to all the trainings, so you can officially qualify there.
Very cool. And then
All
Jason,
right.
I know this is high level for a lot of people. It's a lot of information.
Sure
and,
was.
People want to know more. You guys offer fantastic online training through your SolarEdge Academy, but then you do host an office hours, correct?
Correct.
Weekly Powur. You want to go ahead and share that information for everyone?
Absolutely. And this is on the Powur calendar. Every Thursday at 9 a.m. We are hosting office hours. And so it's an opportunity for you all to not only bring questions, we can do deal reviews as well. If you have, a deal you're working on, you want some input on, what's the best solution for this project, we're happy to do that. And then we'll pick a little corner to train on too. We may be, spending some time training on the EV charger. We may be spending some time each week training on batteries. And so it's a great opportunity to get the latest and the greatest information from us, as well as an open forum for you all to make sure your projects are being spec'd appropriately there.
Awesome. I appreciate that. We're going to drop that in the chat. And then, Rick, you brought up a great point. We just started a brand new SolarEdge Powur group, which is exclusive for Powur members. If you have any questions, topics, training, SolarEdge related, I'm going to go ahead and put that in the chat as well. So with that being said, Jason, I really appreciate you coming on here, training up the team. Incredible options. Love what you guys do in the partnership. You guys, SolarEdge was the original partner of Powur when we were selling, and they've been here with us since the beginning. Jason, Michelle, they're always so gracious with their time and willing to come out here and train us. So show some love in the chat for Mr. Jason. And brother, I appreciate you coming on.
Yeah, thanks a lot. Really appreciate the opportunity to spend some time with you all, and we hope to see you in Israel here next year.
Yeah,
thanks, Jason.
Absolutely. Oh, yeah, and then real quick, hold on. Before I might have just cut this a little bit short. It looks like we have a couple hands raised. But do you have a couple more minutes for Q&A? Someone has some questions?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm clear for the next hour. So no, I'm happy to answer any questions.
Sure. Bill, my brother, you have a question for Jason?
Hey, Jason. Great presentation. Thank you.
Thanks, Bill.
Real quick question. So the difference between the pricing on the non-backup versus full backup that's the controller and the additional labor, basically, to rewire to rewire the system?
Yeah, so whenever you do a backup system, a few things are required. The first of which is an extra piece of hardware. In our side of things, we call it the backup interface. And so that's an extra box that goes in the wall that has a transfer switch. And that's required to basically take the house off grid. So anytime you sell backup for any system, Tesla has a gateway, Enphase has they call it a smart switch. An extra box is required. So that's inclusive of that. And then obviously Powur is going to include a price for the labor work on, the load relocation. So you got to take those breakers out of the main service panel, put them in a new sub panel so that those loads can be backed up when the house goes off grid. So it's inclusive of those additional costs there.
Yeah. So there's also a cost of a sub panel, right?
Correct.
And then you have a master electrician doing the work. So yeah, it's not cheap.
Okay, so it's two parts and the labor. Is that difference, or just the product difference is that much?
So that's
you have a transfer
switch, I believe.
Oh,
sorry,
yeah, sorry. Yeah, you have a transfer switch, sub panel, and labor.
Okay,
that cost.
Got it. Okay, second question: how do you calculate the for that downtime cost to be reimbursed for the homeowner?
So that is on Powur, and that's Powur's discretion. So Powur has a formula, based on the individual system, the time down, et cetera, I think. And so Powur would be the one that actually calculates that and then issues payment there. We just fund the program.
Okay.
So everything is, just acknowledge that it's all at Powur's discretion on who gets paid and how much. But certainly the fund is available, and we're paying out every quarter to continue to fund that program.
Right on. Bill, did I answer your questions? Sounds like it does. All right. Does anybody have any other last questions? We got like a minute left.
No, just want to say, Jason, you're the man. Thank you very much. Good to have you here today.
Thank you.
Love
Yeah, it's good to see you all.
SolarEdge.
Yeah. Chris, I see a question about Sonova. Can you clarify there?
Go ahead, come off mute, Chris.
Hey, Jason. Sonova, because they allow the central inverters. However, it's an option that's not available on their drop down. Does Sonova allow storage, or are they looking at it? And is Everbright approved with SolarEdge batteries?
So, answer your second one first. Yes, we're on Everbright. Can you clarify? You're saying that you're not seeing our battery when you go into Sonova?
Yeah, I mean, maybe somebody else knows, but that option has never been available on the drop down. I choose the Q cells, the SolarEdge central inverter, and then maybe I'm just not choosing the right option on the inverters. Has anybody else experienced that?
Are you doing an energy hub inverter?
Oh, see, that's what the question was.
Yeah,
that's probably
Okay.
it then. Yeah. So
You know,
again,
Chris,
make sure.
You might want to work with a tier 3 mentor or something. Help you out with that.
The ones that I have.
Somebody wants to get some points there.
Yeah, we'll see the ones I've done like Franklin Whole Homes, but I'll start running all these SolarEdge, and then just get a free trip out of it, right?
Get a free trip. If you want to meet some people who are really serious about solar and want to take over the world, there's a whole group of them in Israel at SolarEdge.
Special ops guys too. I don't want to mess with them.
Oh
yeah, whether you're in
that is incredible.
Whether you're in Vision or Sonova or wherever, make sure you always pick the energy hub when you're working with Sonova and backup stuff. Or
I just found it.
Is it working okay?
Thankfully, we have lots of options to look through, right? That's why some companies only let people sell one inverter or one panel is because it takes more training. So that's why we're here.
No, it's magic. Energy Bank 10 kWh just lit up, and the one M. So we're good. Perfect.
Great. Cool.
Great. Well, thank you so
hang
much.
out here for a couple more minutes if there's any other questions. Thank you guys. It's really great to see a lot of familiar faces. And if there's any questions, obviously I'll be hanging out here for a little bit. And join the Facebook group, and feel free, if anything else comes up, to shoot them our way. Thanks all.
Cool.
Thanks, Jason.
Appreciate it, brother. All right, man. With that said, I'm going to go ahead and wrap up this week's recording. So thank you guys all for attending. And we will see you on the Power Hitters Solar Warrior Tribe training next Tuesday, 10 a.m. So with that said, bye-bye.